Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to FabScraps card making project number 20. Now today we're going to be using the Antique Elegance Collection. This is one of the two new collections from FabScraps and it's such a beautiful collection. Available at the moment in fab boxes, and you can go to my blog. There's a link on there that will take you to a page where you can order your fab boxes. The price that you see there includes postage worldwide, wherever you live, the States, the UK, Australia, Russia, Sweden, wherever you live, that price includes the shipping. So have a look, you get a great deal. And the overview shows you exactly what you get in each fab box, so check that out. Today's card uses the Antique Elegance, which is such a beautiful collection, very vintage. The actual designs of it are so beautiful, double-sided cardstock, and I think today's card is quite eclectic. It shows you a different way to combine lots of different elements, not only from the collection, but a couple of things you might have in your stash as well, which you would be able to easily substitute. So because I'm using lace, you might be able to use ribbon instead, but everything else is from the actual collection itself. Check out my blog because there's lots of photos on there of both the inside and the outside of the project, and I do think that it's nice for you to be able to go back and look at the photos, because as you watch the video and you maybe press play and stop and start and then whiz through it and you just look at the techniques, the photos will remind you of how it actually looks, and maybe the light's different. Maybe you're watching on your laptop but you see the photos on your phone. It's just a great way of reminding yourself how it looks. If you see the video and you've enjoyed it, please give me the thumbs up. I do like hearing from you and seeing your crafty creations. And I just think it's really nice that you take as much enjoyment out of my videos as I do creating them. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, and let's have a look at today's gorgeous FabScraps card making project. So for today's FabScraps project, we're going to be using our Antique Elegance Collection. I'm going to be starting with a base card of 7 by 7 inches. This card would work on other sizes. It just so happens I picked 7 by 7 for something different. So don't get too strung up about sizes. It would still work on a 7 by 5 inch card, and I'll show you for why as we go through it. So my card is 7 by 7 inches. It's just a plain white card. Ignore this bit for the moment. It is for my reference, which, you know, it's a good tip actually when we get to it. I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure I've got a nice sharp edge along the side of the card. And we're going to just look at our handmade by stamp on the back. So this is a handmade by stamp that I've been using all year. I add my name, and this is Fab 20 because this is it's number 20 in our projects using our Antique Elegance. So just remember to use your handmade by stamps because it is nice for the person receiving the card to know who's made it for them. Especially at Christmas if you get a lot, because if you get a lot of cards and you get some gorgeous handmade ones and nobody's put the name on the back of who's made it and they've just signed it from the family, who could it be? So just a tip, please add your name on the backs of cards. So the inside of our card, even though it's a FabScraps project, we're still going to make a gorgeous insert and a very easy insert as well. So I've taken a piece of white cardstock and I've simply inked around the edge in kind of like a turquoise colouring. This was a nice inking, and I think it's something, I can't remember the name of it unfortunately. And then I've just simply added some clear embossing powder on the top. I've got flat tape on the back and I'm just going to add this into the centre of our card. So it looks like bit like a frame. Now the centre square that I've die cut out, I've die cut one of the Antique Elegance papers into that size of square. I've got flat tape on the back of it, and I'm going to simply slot it like an inlay into the centre of the card, like that. Fits perfectly, as if I'd planned it. Now for the top of this, because I want something with a sentiment on, I've cut out one of the embellishments from the Antique Elegance Collection, and it says, "Be the best version of you." So I've got flat tape on the back, and I'm just going to peel the tape away, and then I'm going to add this just through the centre of the square. So it hangs over the edge of the square, and it makes it look like it's been cut like that. And how pretty is that for an insert? And it's done. Lots of room for a to and from, and a nice message. Nice and colour toned, and I like the inking around the edge. It just draws your eye in like a vignette, and it's just such a pretty insert. Going to match perfectly to the outside. Now our outside is quite ornate with heavy layers, but I've gone for it with 3D foam. You don't have to go quite as high as I do. Now I've got 2 marks on the front of my card. It's because I've got a square that's cut already from the centre of one of our layers, and I just want to be able to add this centre to the card in the right place. So I've already marked it with a pencil so that I know this square sits there, and that's from one of our Antique Elegance papers. Now our first layer is 2 squares die cut. I'm saying 2 squares. It's a square with the square centre die cut out of the cardstock. I've then added some lace as a ruffle around 3 sides of it, nearly 3 sides, 2 full sides and 1 half size. Now you'll see why it's only to this side, because it goes with the layer that's going to be above it. I've got 3D foam on the back, and I'm going to position this over the square that we've just added, because the square has come from this layer. So hopefully that will sit like that over the square centre. Now our next layer is very ornate, taken from the Antique Elegance papers. Absolutely beautiful patterns and gorgeous flowers. I've cut it out to fit the card, and then I've cut the centre out using a craft knife, and I've cut around the actual pattern, and I drew around a square die to be able to get that edge, and then I just followed the pattern edge into the corner. I've added glossy accents on top of the heart-shaped clock, and I've got 3D foam on the back. I've also got, there we go, and that's for Annie, the tonic jewel drops. I know she likes seeing those. And I've just added them around the edge, and then ruched some ribbon through 2 sides of the actual layer. As I say, 3D foam on the back, and this is going to sit over our previous layer, and hopefully I've got that nice and straight. Just going to tilt it towards me. Yep, that looks okay to me. I'm going to press it down. There we go. So you can see why I've only taken the lace around 2 sides. And now I've got a tiny little bit of a design from the paper that I've cut to go in this corner. Now, only because when we've added other things, I don't want it to look as if I haven't made an effort for that corner. So I'm just adding that little bit there, and I've just decoupaged it simply from the papers. Next, I've cut one of the lace tags out from the full collection. I've got it on 3D foam, and I'm simply going to add this just to that side of the card, leaving the clock uncovered. Then I've taken some of the chipboard or beerboard, and it says "You got this." So this is quite inspirational, this card. And I'm going to add a little bit of glossy accents on the back of my chipboard. And you'll have to excuse my glossy accents because it's been open and I've split the actual nozzle. So it's just coming out the side. So it's not it's going to perform correctly, but it's just not looking normal. There we go. You'll be able to do that flat on a desk. And I'm going to add that just over the top of the tag like that, there. So it'll just stick down where it wants to stick down. Next, I've got a little paper bow that I've made just out of a little die that I had. It's an unbranded die. And I'm going to add that roughly about there on the side of our tag. Again, I've used the papers from the Antique Elegance Collection. And lastly, I'm just going to add a lace bow at the top just to finish it off with something a little bit different. And how cool does that look? Quite eclectic. I love the colours in this collection. It is so beautiful, it really is. And the outside goes so well with the inside, those colours. It'll stand up nicely on any mantelpiece. Now there's quite a few layers here, as you'll see as I turn it. However, I would say that would probably go in just a slightly larger envelope. Or I don't know the size of the big fat mailers that Anna had. It would maybe fit in something like that. But maybe if you're looking at an 8x8 card, it would work. Now, if you don't have the 7x7 cards, you could still create this on a 7x5 because you would be able to trim less of the actual pattern, make your squares into rectangles and make them a little bit smaller, and just tweak it for the size of card that you're using. What a great mixture, it really is, and it just looks so pretty. Please check my blog for lots more photos because I will take lots of photos so you can see all the detail because there's a lot of interest on this one. And such a gorgeous inside and so quick and easy. So I would just like to say thank you so much for watching and I shall see you next time.